Hey guys, it's Lauren Yates from Rave It Up here, and today we're going to be chatting over Skype with Chayne Hultgren, aka the Space Cowboy. He is an extreme stunt performer who is known for sword swallowing. He can swallow 24 swords at the one time, and he has broken more Guinness World Records than any Australian. You may have come across him at the Sydney Royal Easter Show, just like I did, and I am so excited to chat to him about these incredible stunts. Hi Chayne, how are you going today?
Very well, yes. How are you?
I am fantastic. Welcome to Rave It Up. It's a pleasure to have you on the show today, finally. Now, the first time I came across you was the Easter show. You blew me away with your amazing performing on the street, and then I got to see the Psycho sideshow as well, and you just blew me away in every single performance.
Oh, excellent.
And in this Easter show, you ended up doing the juggling a running chainsaw on a unicycle once again, and the world record is 6 catches, but this year you caught it 9 times. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you very much, yeah. So I've actually broken that record a few times now, so yeah, I'm kind of waiting for someone else to try it as well and see how many they can do.
Well, hopefully we can get the Guinness World Record people back in and they can bump the number up for you.
Yeah. So this is actually, behind me is one of my Guinness walls in my house. So I currently hold... Yeah, well I've got too many for this wall, so I currently hold 54 Guinness World Records, so that's the most out of any Australian.
Well, you should get a Guinness World Record for that then. The most Guinness World Records for an Australian.
Yeah, we should talk to them about that, yeah. My first Guinness World Record was in 2008 when I swallowed 16 swords at the same time. And that was at the Krusty Demon's Night of World Records, which is a big motorbike stunt show. I broke 2 world records in that show. So one was for the most weight lifted from a swallowed sword, and the other one was the most swords swallowed at the same time.
Well, I definitely want to talk about more of that later, but I'd love to actually start from the beginning as well and chat about your childhood and how it all started. I did read that your sister had a unicycle, your dad taught you how to juggle, and your mum bought you your first straitjacket. And I guess the rest is history, as they say. Yeah. But was performing what you always wanted to do, or were there other careers that you wanted to pursue?
Yeah, I'm a natural show-off, I guess, so that's what kind of turned me in the direction of performing. So I've always wanted to just perform for people, and I've never had another job, so this is all I've ever done.
Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah. It's good, because I can see the passion every time you perform too. You know, you're doing what you love, and it shows.
Excellent. Oh, thank you.
I'm guessing were your family already in the arts? Is that kind of, you were always surrounded by it?
My dad was a gymnast, like a competitive gymnast with rings, and my mum was an artist, a painter, and so they just encouraged all us kids to try new things. And there was a kids circus in our local town, which we went to from when we were really young, so that kind of got us our initial skills, and it just kept going from there.
And you did really love reading the Guinness World Records back then too. I bet you never thought that you'd be in it in the future, especially as many times as you have.
I kind of always knew that I would be in the Guinness Book of Records. I didn't know how many records I would eventually get, but I still don't know. So I'm breaking records like in a few in a week, and then might be a couple of years while I'm working on a new big one, and then I don't know how many the future holds, but we'll have to wait and see.
Awesome. And when you were 17, you actually left home and joined a freak show in Scotland. So how do you find that helped you grow as a person, especially leaving home as early as you did?
Yeah, well, I guess I'd already been performing. So I live in Byron Bay. I grew up in Byron Bay with my family, and then I travelled on the weekends up to the Gold Coast to Cavill Avenue to do street shows when I was like 13 years old, and so I'd already kind of been supporting myself, and my parents were just very encouraging. So when I kind of like just left home and started travelling around the world, I was definitely ready to see the world. So my first kind of performing was all street shows, and that was like I started just travelling around Australia and then went to the UK. And then, the Kamikaze Freak Show was in Scotland at Edinburgh Festival, and when I saw that, it definitely blew me away and kind of changed the kind of like stunts performance that I wanted to dedicate my life to, rather than kind of high-skill circus acts. I wanted to do more shocking demonstrations.
And you're definitely known for that now.
Yes.
So what do your parents think of all the amazing stunts that you do now? Are they like really worried every single time they watch you?
I would imagine they do have quite a few concerns, but they are just supportive and encouraging. Yeah, because I've got a new act with a 1 million volt Tesla coil, where I stand on the coil and I shoot streams of electricity out of my body. And my parents were at one of my recent shows that I happened to do in Byron Bay at the Community Centre Theatre here. And I could see them in the front row clapping along. But I mean, I'm sure they had some nerves about watching the act for sure.
And I mustn't be the only one thinking, where did the name Space Cowboy come from? Is that, like, I don't know, imaginary friend that you used to have as a kid or something?
I started off as I was the cowboy, and I would do whip cracking and a tall unicycle act, and then I just wanted to make it more of a unique name, so I just added space onto the start, and it just kind of stuck. So I've been called that since I was about 13 years old. So I thought about changing it a few times, but the longer I've hold the name, the more stuck it becomes.
Exactly. And I gotta say, you are best known for your incredible sword swallowing, as you mentioned before, and you were born with an internal deformation, which enables you to swallow a sword like a lot larger than anybody else.
Yeah, so I can swallow a 72 centimetre long blade. So it goes approximately an inch below my belly button. So it swallows down my throat, past my heart, my lungs, and into the pit of my elongated stomach. But in order to swallow a sword that long, I do need to have a large meal beforehand to stretch the size of the stomach. It actually goes quite a lot larger when you have food inside your stomach. So after performing that stunt for quite a few years, I got a bit nonchalant with it, I guess, and so one time I didn't eat a meal before a show, and then I tried to swallow the long sword, and I did get a stomach laceration, and so now I just performed that stunt I still perform it, but I'm definitely a lot more careful about how much I eat before the show and how often I'm performing it and stuff like that.
So like a nice big roast or something.
Oh, I'm vegetarian, so roast veggies. Yeah, it's just swords and vegetables for me.
Yeah, yum. And I'm sure many people have noticed the magnets in your chest as well. Did you want to explain that to us?
Yeah. There's in the early 1900s, there was a woman named Edith Clifford who got the world record for the most sword swallows. She could swallow 13 swords at the same time, but nobody could beat her. And then in 2008, I worked out a new technique where I could stretch my throat with different size rubber hoses, and I used meditation to control the muscles of the insides, and I could swallow 16 swords. 2 years after that, I held a large rare earth magnet to my chest, and it pulled the blades away from my heart, held all the blades tightly together. Then I managed to swallow 20 swords. I broke the record again a couple of years later, and then I had the magnets inserted into my chest, so they're under the flesh. And then now I've got the Guinness World Record for swallowing 24 swords at the same time.
Wow. Yeah. So I'm sure it helps, obviously. And you did mention the meditation. Is that something that you actually do day to day as well, just to, feel centered and relaxed?
Yes, it definitely helps with a lot of the things that I do, because I guess most of the stunts that I do perform are quite dangerous. So by focusing the mind, focusing the body, then you can achieve a lot more.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah. And how long have you been doing the meditation for?
Oh, since I was very young. Yeah, my parents got me into it when I was a kid. So
good. Yeah, that's what parents should always be teaching.
Yeah, and that kind of helped a lot with my arrow catching and things like that as well. Because I guess because I catch arrows blindfolded. Yeah, so I've got the record for the fastest arrow caught, and also the most arrows caught in 2 minutes while blindfolded. And so when you eliminate the vision from a stunt like catching speeding arrows, then you need to heighten the other senses. So the main sense that I use is is hearing, but I also use muscle memory from, like, yeah, you just learn the exact position, the exact speed that the body has to move. Yeah, that's an interesting stunt actually, because before I started arrow catching, the first thing I saw was a picture of a monk that was chopping an arrow mid-flight in the air, and I just thought that was so cool that I wanted to know if I could actually catch the arrow. And then I'd been practicing it for a little while. Started training with tennis ball, like high-speed tennis ball shooting machines, and then I actually saw a TV show by Mythbusters where the guys from Mythbusters. They made the whole show about arrow catching to see whether it was possible or not, and they said it was false. It's a myth, and they made a robot hand that could close like 3 times the speed of a normal human hand, and only then could it catch the arrow. They did not take into account that you need to move with the arrow in order to catch it. So that's like any martial arts. If you move with the opponent, you can take their energy and their speed. Yeah, so that's the same with arrow catching.
So you've proved them wrong now.
Yes.
Jeez, I don't think they want to know that. Now, with the sword swallowing as well, it is literally a dying art. Performers are dying from it all the time. So how long do you think you'll continue? How long is too long before it's too dangerous?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it is a deadly art, and there has been accidents from sword swallowing. Like, I have had accidents as well, but with modern technology, I guess we're in a good age to be to be sword swallowing, with high quality hospitals all close by. But at the end of the day, the main danger is with training any new stunts. Like when you're in a performance scene and there's unpredictability, like an audience member could jump up on stage, or there's things that you never take into account. So I guess there's a lot of dangers like that, but I guess a lot of sword swallowers they're kind of pushing it further than it's ever been pushed before as well. Like, I have a friend, Ariel Manx, who does multiple backflips with the blade down his throat. So it's kind of like a whole new genre of sword swallowing, with acrobatics and sword swallowing at the same time. Yeah, which is quite.
How would you even practice that? Rubber hoses down your throat while you're doing flips?
Yeah, well, I was actually there. He started doing handstands first with the sword down his throat, and then he did the first backflip on a hill. So he swallowed the sword, did a backflip, and the sword actually just flung out of his mouth in midair. So that was pretty amazing that he kept going from there and pushing it even further. Yeah, he actually just did that on the Italian Guinness World Records TV show, did 20 backflips in a row with the blade down his throat.
Wow. Is that something you'll be trying next?
No, well, that's the thing. I mean, with all my friends, we all try our own unique twist on the axe. So in 2009, I think it was, 2006, I performed the first underwater sword swallow. And I did that in the Manly Aquarium in Sydney, where there were big sharks swimming around me as I dived to the bottom of the pool, put my foot under a weight, and then swallowed a blade underwater with all the sharks swimming around, and that was quite a rush. So since then, I've actually broken a few Guinness World Records for underwater sword swallowing as well, including the most underwater backward somersaults with a blade down the throat, the longest distance travelled while swallowing a sword underwater, and the most swords swallowed underwater at the same time, which is 5 swords simultaneously swallowed while at the bottom of a swimming pool. Yeah, so I've also got heaps of different sword swallowing records. So the most swords swallowed on a unicycle, the most objects juggled while sword swallowing, the most swords swallowed while juggling. Yeah, so there's lots of different variations that you can go to get a different Guinness World Record.
Yeah, you'll be breaking Guinness World Records for the rest of your life, I think, because you're always going to find one. And just to give people some perspective, and you did mention it before, to get ready for something like this, you have to put rubber hoses down your throat, and I heard it's for 3 days, is that right?
Oh, well, this is just for the multiple sword swallow. So to swallow 24 swords at the same time, I do need to stretch my throat with hoses prior to the demonstration. I use meditation to basically just hold open my gag reflex swallow the hoses, and then keep pushing more hoses in between so it expands my throat. And then after I do like 20-minute sessions, and then after 3 days of that, then I'm ready to break the world record. So I don't know when I'll be swallowing more swords than that, but it's definitely possible.
24 is still a lot. You should be proud.
Yeah. But with my general sword swallowing performances and things like that, nowadays I don't need to do any preparations like this before a performance. I can just arrive at the venue, take all my swords out of my suitcase, and start my show.
Wow. Okay, that's good, because I was like, ooh, how about if they only give you 2 days notice before a show and you're like, ah!
No, it's not like that.
Okay, so you're kind of always equipped, you're ready to go.
Yeah. And a lot of my new stunts, for instance, my new high voltage Tesla coil, so where it's a 1 million volt Tesla coil, so the act I call the million volt man, because I'm the only person in the world who has all of that electricity travelling through the living blood, flesh and bone, because everyone else who performs with such high voltage Tesla coils, they wear a full metal suit, like a Faraday cage, or they have large metal objects that they're holding which are earthed so that the electricity is not actually going through their body. Yeah, so basically what I've got is it's an air core resonance transformer, which is simply like a high pressure hose for electricity. So 240 volts goes in, 1 million volts sprays out. When I stand on top, it all sprays out of my fingers, out the top of my head. I swallow a sword on top, and I've got a light bulb just attached with wire to the top of the sword, which glows hot red, and all the stream, 1.5 meter streams of electricity shoot out of the handle. So it's quite a very highly visual stunt, but also I just need to swallow one sword on top, so it actually is a lot easier than swallowing 24 swords at the same time. Yeah, although that electricity at that high voltage is quite a painful act to do. So it's kind of like one of those joke pens or joke lighters where you get an electric shock, and it's like that, but it's through your whole body and continuous. But it mostly affects the wrists, the ankles, the fingers, or anywhere thin on your body. And I wear metal thimbles on my fingertips, so that's the only protection I wear on my body. And that's just to stop my fingernails from melting and getting huge black blisters on my fingers. I actually did it just a few days ago. You can kind of see, where's the camera? You can see some blisters on my knuckles where the lightning bolts come out of my skin.
That can't be healthy though, right? How long can you do that for before it's deadly?
Back in the olden days, they would have said it cures all ailments. There's the violet wand was a very popular medical quack device where it would cure baldness, arthritis, the common cold, or any complaint that you had, which is basically a similar, it's a high voltage transformer, but that would only be maybe 2,000 volts. Yeah.
Okay, well, who knows? You may be outliving all of us because of this. We'll have to see. Another Guinness World Record that blows me away is when you swallowed a sword, but it was lifting 2 50-litre beer kegs as well. You have said, I've read other interviews that you've done, and even your little pamphlet, that, sword swallowing doesn't hurt, it's just uncomfortable, but with that sort of weight, that's gotta hurt, right?
Yeah, that was quite intense. So that was actually the second Guinness World Record that I got, the most weight lifted from a swallowed sword. And yeah, I'm up to 30.2 kilos or something like that with the weight suspended from the sword. And so that is quite intense, but I have done more painful world records than that.
Like your eye sockets? Was that a sore one?
Oh yeah, there's that one as well. Yeah, the record is the most weight dragged with hooks in the eye sockets, and that's 411 kilograms drags for 10 meters with one hook in each one of my eye sockets. Yeah. So that was basically a big Balinese tricycle with 6 girls in it and a pile of cement slabs to make up the weight. Yeah, I recently got the record for the most blowtorches extinguished on the tongue in a minute. And yeah, I think I got 42 blowtorches, extinguished them all out of my tongue in a minute. So yeah, I'm working on a new one now actually so I currently hold the record for the most fire torches lit by the body by conducting electricity through the flesh, and so I lit 16 fire torches in the time of a minute, and so that was with a high voltage transformer. But now I'm planning on a new way to do it with my 1 million volt Tesla coil. So I think it's going to be way more visual and an exciting stunt.
Oh, cool. When should we expect that?
Well, any day now. Yeah. So we'll see when it's released. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing that because you're so entertaining. And I've got to say, at the Easter show this year, I really noticed that you're amazing just presenting as well. Like, have you ever thought of emceeing an event? Because you're amazing. I was like, he's so entertaining, not just as a performer, but presenter.
Yeah. Oh, well, it was actually really fun presenting that show. Yeah, they were all really good friends of mine in the show, actually, and they're great fun to perform with. Zoe L'Amour, she's the pain-proof girl. She's doing the sword box and fire eating. The Lizard Man, so I've been working with him for maybe 8 years. We fly him over pretty much every year to come and do certain shows with us, somewhere in Australia or in the UK. So he's completely tattooed green. He's got implants grafted to his skull and his teeth filed down to sharp points and his tongue split in two like that of a lizard. And so he's a very unique entertainer. Captain Frodo, who's the rubber man who was in that show, he dislocates all these joints, and he was actually with me when we first saw the Kamikaze Freak Show. So that would have been in '98, and then we both joined that show, and then from there, kind of just took our extreme performance art into a whole new direction.
Yeah. Now, something else I'd love to talk about is you have taken the sword swallowing to, like, you've given it a modern twist, I guess, where you sword swallow by swallowing a spinning drill. And I just want to know what goes through your head before you try a new trick, because, like, you've really got to channel your inner crazy, right?
Yeah, so that one I've actually been performing for a long time as well, so probably since around maybe 2000, I might have started performing I call it the Black & Decker Digestion Wrecker, which is the sword blade attached into an electric drill. So I actually swallow the blade, bite onto the blade, and then set the handle on fire, push the trigger in, and so it all spins around in my head above my face really fast. One time in Spain, actually, I used a new electric drill which was more powerful than what I was used to. And as I pulled it out, it pried my teeth open and spun in my throat as it came out. And yeah, that wasn't a fun experience. Yeah, so I've learned to definitely practice a lot even with the new equipment, like work out what new equipment's like and stuff like that. So it's always everything's a learning curve.
Yeah, hopefully you don't die from one. Like, hopefully nothing's too major. At the age of 13 as well, you did spend 2 weeks in hospital with third-degree burns after a stunt with fire went wrong. So has anything else really gone wrong like that where you're in hospital? Like, what's been your worst injury ever?
Well, that would have been my largest accident. Yeah. Although now all the scars are even gone. I was even looking at my legs the other day going, oh, wait a minute, there's not even any burn scars there anymore. I have put a knife through my hand. I've broken my wrist twice. I've been to hospital twice for sword swallowing, so for the lacerated stomach and for the Black & Decker Digestion Wrecker. But none of the sword swallowing accidents were bad at all. They're just kind of scratches. And so I don't know, I heal really well. I do take care of my body, and I take a lot of preparations before performing any stunts. So I've been doing this a long time, so I probably don't really have more accidents than a common person, to tell the truth. Like everyone, most people would have at least 1 or 2 trips to the hospital in their lifetime. So, and that's about what I've done as well. So. Oh,
okay, that's good. That must be funny then, going to the hospital though and be like, so what happened? I swallowed a sword. Just normal. It's what I do for a job.
I'm sure they've had stranger customers than me.
Probably, but you might be up there. Now, for those who don't know as well, you are married and have a child. So how do you find juggling your career and family?
Yeah, I find it quite easy, actually. I guess, well, my daughter's 4 years old, so she starts school next year, which I guess will change things up a little bit again. But yeah, I just find it fun. It's an extra challenge, and it's a really amazing life experience, isn't it, to have a kid? So yeah, it's good.
And do you think your daughter will be following in your footsteps? Because I did see that she's already broken a world record for the youngest person to fly unassisted on a full-size flying trapeze at only 489 years old.
Well, my sister runs a circus school here in Byron Bay. It's called Circus Arts, and they have a big flying trapeze inside there, and she would take her kids on the flying trapeze when they were really young. And then I'm not sure how young, actually. They're all a little bit older than my daughter, but they have all the correct harnesses and all that for small children. So I just thought that's something really cool to do. And after she did it, in fact, here's my daughter here now. So do you want to say your name? Say your full name. Do you want to say your show name or your real name?
None.
None? No, her name is Scarlett Showbiz Wild.
Don't tell.
But what's your show name?
No, I'm not going to tell you. Don't tell.
Okay, it's a secret. Okay, you go over to Mummy now.
Who came up with the showbiz?
We've got a friend in the UK called Showbiz, so we just really like that name, and yeah.
As a name, interesting. Like a first name.
Yeah, that's her first. Well, it is. She did change her name to that, but now that is her name, and we just really like that name. So yeah.
Good. It's unique. Everybody's doing that now, getting unique baby names.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing she's going to follow in your footsteps and killing some more world records.
Yeah, well, who knows? I mean, well, she can choose whatever path she wants in life. So she could be an aerialist or a magician or a contortionist. That's up to her. No, that was kind of a joke. She can be a secretary or whatever she wants. An accountant. We all need accountants. So yeah, we'll see.
Now, even though you've already achieved so much in your career, Chayne, what else can we expect from you in the future?
Yeah, well, I do plan to continue breaking records and working out new exciting stunts, and well, that's just what excites me. So I always like, planning new adventures and new crazy things to do. Definitely one of the more exciting things that I'm working on now is different stuff with the high voltage electricity. But I'm also doing speed painting. So like I do portraits like really fast, like on big, huge canvases. And I do an act where it's like a psychological mind-reading act where I have someone think of a celebrity, and then I ask them 5 questions. As they're answering the questions yes or no, I start painting really fast, and after like by the time the song's finished, I say, who are you thinking of? They say Marilyn Monroe or Elvis or whoever it is. And now the canvas that I have is made up of 9 squares, like a Rubik's Cube. I turn the squares around, rearrange them all until the last square turns, and then you can finally see the face of the person that I painted. Yeah, so I kind of like mixing kind of mind magic and painting and like kind of high skill dangerous stunts and all that together in big crazy shows.
Great, it's collaborating all your passions into one show.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, we're looking forward to it all. We'll definitely keep a lookout. And we'd love to know as well, do you have any advice for the listeners who might want to be following in your footsteps and following their dreams and doing some crazy stunts and breaking world records?
Yeah. Be careful, but anything is possible. So definitely take your time. The most accidents that happen in our field, in my field, is in the initial kind of training and working out things. So generally, if you're going into some new kind of area of stunts, you do want to talk to people who are already in that field, because there's, at the end of the day, I guess we've got the potential to be standing on the shoulders of giants, kind of like, because there's so much knowledge out there that if you just try to if you see something and go, okay, I want to do that, and you just try it, then you're really stepping into the deep end where you could be, tapping into a whole world of knowledge and skills, and it's all out there for the taking. You just got to find the right people to teach you the ways.
It's fantastic. So if anybody wanted to learn your ways, where should they go? Where should they follow you and check out what you're up to next?
I guess my ways is very broad, so because I've got so many different stunts and things like that. So I mean, if you wanted to get into like sword swallowing or something, like, there's very few actual kind of places that you can actually learn things like this. I know that there is a school in Coney Island in New York that teaches sword swallowing. Yeah, but not many other places would do that because of the innate risks involved, I guess. But there's lots of circus schools all over the country and all over the world, and you can, if you want to start small and then build your skills up, that's definitely the way to go.
And to be inspired, go check out your show, right? And
yeah, great. Yeah, go to thespacecowboy.com. You can see all the different crazy videos and stuff like that I do.
And you also list up all your shows coming up, so if people want to come along?
I do, yeah. It's a little bit out of date now, but I'll get onto it. Yeah, too busy with shows. Actually, this is my second day off in like 2 months, so yeah, it's been pretty crazy, yeah.
I feel privileged. On your day off, you're doing an interview. Thank you. And thank you so much for coming on the show, Chayne. I really appreciate your time, and would definitely love to have you on again in the future. Just let us know, and yeah, happy to promote anything else that you're doing.
Brilliant. I look forward to it.
Looking forward to it as well.
Thanks for your time.
That's all right. Thank you. Well, I hope you all enjoyed today's interview. And if you'd like to check out any of our other interviews, make sure to visit raveituptv.com. All the podcasts and videos are there for your enjoyment. But for now, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.